And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact.
Be salty. Just be salty. Just be salty. Just be salty. Just be salty. Tell friends about me. Never find
What's up, everybody? Hope this day is finding you in wonderful spirits like it's finding me. It is time for another video. I hope you're not going to be too triggered by the title of this video, but it's time for us to get into some things. If this is your first time coming to this channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, because we're about to get into some things. Also, while you're hitting the subscribe button, go ahead and turn on the notifications so you will be notified every time I upload a video. Okay. Oh my God. I know this is like a never-ending topic on this channel, but it has made its way again. Gender politics. Here we go. You know, I always advise that you guys really get something to drink, because this is going to be a very heavy, slightly triggering topic. So I'm gonna get myself a drink, you know, because we're gonna have a soberish type of vibe here. I am going to be having one of my favorite summertime treats. Yes, baby, shaved ice, honey. I've already started, honey. And I do apologize for some of y'all that's been missing me on camera. I've been going through my own little menstrual periods. Menstrual periods for transgenders is where you don't feel like shaving, and you feel like that. You feel like your transgender woman in you is having a fight with the inner nigga in you.
Don't look at my face. I just nutted. So the man trying to come out.
The man trying to.
Get back in there, you man!
Let me out, bitch.
No, I would be with a brother.
I said, let me out, bitch. The man.
So recently, pop artist Macy Gray had some very interesting opinions on the Piers Morgan show, and the girls came up. Here's what she said.
We're in an era now, Macy, where you can't. Most public figures are too terrified to even say what they think a woman is.
I know.
I mean, well, if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
Let's say a human being with boobs. You have to start there.
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward. It just says a human, adult, female, right?
No, a lot of people. Yeah, see, that's a little getting confusing. The whole he, she, they. That's gonna.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. It's like I support all trans rights to fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies.
Me too.
Transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's gonna hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that there's biological sex and then there's gender identity, that you can identify as whatever you like
in
terms of a gender, right?
Yeah,
That's the freedom we live in.
Absolutely.
But actually, you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are.
This has definitely stirred the pot and triggered a lot of your usual suspects.
Watching the interview, you can see white supremacist Piers Morgan explain to her, like, you know, gender identity and woman is kind of like entwined kind of thing, right? Dismantle trans woman identity for no reason. Like, trans women have been talking about Macy Gray. Trans women has not been attacking Macy Gray. Trans women has not been talking about Macy Gray at all. But again, it's always these people who comes out in the woodworks to attack trans women. And then when we clap back, we hate black women. We do not like black women. Now you have a prime example of a black cis woman who decides to talk about trans people. And I don't...
A response, because we've been having this conversation for a long time, and a lot of the creators on here already had their takes and said their pieces. I found it very interesting that one person on TikTok here said that you're worried about this, and the whole situation with the Roe v. Wade situation is like not a talking point at all. Sis is also dropping an album, and this is the type of marketing you're giving, honey. Like, girl, good luck with them album sales.
Gender is a fact, identity is how you feel, and sexuality is your desire. And you are absolutely right, because until you have the heart and mind of a woman, I don't believe that you could ever possibly be a biological woman. Trans women are trans women. Trans men are trans men. Women are women, and men are men. It is as simple as that. There shouldn't be any argument about this.
Honey, she should have known that statement, honey, was going to get the girls woken up, honey. The girls have woken up, honey, and they're shaking the table, honey.
Now try it. Try it. Try it. With me if you want to. It's not a good thing. Okay? Now back to that one. Shaking the table.
Well, this is my opinion on this. She ain't wrong. She's not wrong. And before people try to jump down my throat, I don't want anyone to interpret this video as being something that it's not. Because no matter what you think, I'm not trying to be a...
Pick me, please pick me, pick me, pick me, please pick me, pick me, pick me, goddammit.
You can identify however you want to identify. Woman, man, non-binary, dog, cat, or whatever. However, you can't expect or demand other people to acknowledge you as that. Because people are going to acknowledge you based on how you look. That's just the world that we live in. Now, Macy Gray, she actually got a lot of flack for this. Of course, people call her transphobic. This is not transphobic, honey. This is transphobic. This is the...
What I want to know,
sis,
is why come they don't...
I don't know, sis.
Rally and picket at Candace Owens studio. Baby name is
sis,
Marie Ashley Preston.
sis,
Honey, I know she don't do it if there's not enough PR, but baby, when she was on RuPaul's Drag Race...
Ashley Marie Preston. She was not on RuPaul's Drag Race. That was Jiggly Caliente.
Oh.
Sis, I tell you this before. Those are two different queens. Two completely different queens. Now this is transphobia.
You think they was probably separated at birth?
Oh my God. Oh. I mean, the devil, let me walk into traffic. Take me now.
About sharing the same semen or something like that. You know,
Similarly, when you look into the classrooms and you talk about the shrinking of family, suddenly these LGBTIQRSTUV nonsense begins to make a little more sense.
Even if a person is trans, you should have the decency and the respect to call them by their preferred pronoun. I don't play that game. And what I always say to people is, if you have a mental disorder, that's fine. You know, I don't need to come up to you and tell you that I think you have a mental disorder. That would be rude.
Right.
But when you have a mental disorder and you're now requiring that I have a mental disorder, right, to meet your mental disorder, that doesn't work for me. Which is to say that if somebody was walking around as a schizophrenic and saying that they were Superman, and then telling me that I was required to treat them like Superman, I wouldn't play the game. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about trans. I think, no, I'm not going to call you she, I'm not going to call you her, just because you're a grown man and you're wearing a wig and a dress.
I think anywhere in Russia or China or anywhere in the East, men are wearing dresses and heels. Just a serious question. If women taking their clothes off, feminism, right? I don't need a man, all of this stuff that you're seeing, and now men in dresses in Vogue. If you don't realize by now that Hollywood is satanic and you should not be idolizing those people, I can't help you.
I actually had to look up the definition of transphobia, and I must say, I was surprised because I've always thought that transphobia and the definition stem from a fear, you know, because that's what phobia is. But according to the Webster's dictionary here, definition of transphobia is an irrational fear of aversion to or discrimination against transgender people. Okay. So, with that being said, and Macy Gray made the statement that she made on the Piers Morgan, and as you can see within the interview, it was not anything that was, in my opinion, was ill-intended. She was having a conversation. She was having a conversation and giving her point of view. And in regards to the whole Roe versus Wade overturn, as a transgender woman, we don't have to worry about abortions. We don't. We really don't. And that's where the delusion comes in sometimes, because I agree with Macy Gray. I agree with Piers Morgan. You know, there is a major difference between, you know, identity and gender. You know, you can identify as whatever you want to identify as, but your gender is a fact. And you can even identify and say that your gender is female. However, you know, it just gets a little confusing down the line. And I think that within the movement of the transgender movement, especially when it comes to male to female transgenders. I feel that is the big gap that we're missing. And I also feel that this is one of the main reasons why a lot of biological females tend to have such an issue with transgender women. They feel as though that we're basically trying to fit in the same category as them and say that we have the same exact experience as them, and we don't.
This is what it feels like for biological women when transgender women refuse to identify as transgender women, but chooses to identify as just women.
Where you get this wig from? What wig? This is not a wig. It's a sew-in? No, this is my real hair. It grew.
We don't. You know, we have similar experiences as biological women, but as Macy Gray said, you know, being a little girl, that is a whole epic book, you know, which a lot of trans women did not experience. I mean, I've said it so many times before. It's almost as if looking from the outside in, from most females' perspectives, that transgender women have gotten in the carpool lane and just drove on. You know, that's how it looks. But of course, you know, it is nowhere near a breeze being a transgender woman, you know, aka two-spirited person like myself. Let's be clear again. There is a major differentiation between what Macy Gray said and her attitudes and her conversation towards the whole subject of being transgender, and someone like Candace Owens, who clearly is proudly, you know, a transphobe about this. Because one of the things about Candace Owens that is so dangerous, and I feel that a lot of people are not, you know, we're trying to make our allies our enemies, and that's not going to help. We need to concentrate on the enemies like the Candace Owens, because the Candace Owens, as you can see, she's dead set, you know, on uniting and bringing family values to the forefront. You know, I guess her version of family values does not include any LGBTQ people. And what's so dangerous about her message is that she has a lot of people listening. And it's like the black version of Ann Coulter.
Them with wonderful qualities. I mean, that's why our blacks are so much better than their blacks. To become a black Republican, you don't just roll into it. You're not going with the flow. You have fought against probably your family members, probably your neighbors. You have thought everything out, and that's why we have very impressive blacks.
So yeah, I just want to really make that differentiation between Macy Gray and Candace Owens. You know, let's be very clear here that Macy Gray, she said what she said, and hey, she has a new album coming out. So, you know, at the end of the day, honey, this may have been a clever PR move to get her name trending. Just say you wanted some promo for your album, girl. Well, as I wrap this up, I have one more bone to pick. The delusion, honey. Some trans women have when it comes to this. I'm a woman. You can be a woman, honey, but just know that you're a transgender woman, not just a woman. A transgender woman. No one can tell you how to live your life or how to identify. And I think the delusion from a lot of females is that, yeah, you may not see me as a woman, it may make you feel more comfortable for me to, or to call me male pronouns. But the delusion is that, honey, when I go out into the world, I'm not going to be read as a guy. People are not going to perceive me as that. So if I go into a male's restroom dressed like this, I'm asking for trouble. I'm asking for either, number one, be sexually assaulted. Number two, be assaulted, period. Number three, possibly be arrested. For going to the wrong restroom in certain states, because I have female on my ID. So it's not, that's where the delusion comes in. That when these women say, oh, you're men. But the fact of the matter is that, okay, we may be male, but if we're living our lives as women, then, you don't have to respect it, but, you'll be delusional to be thinking that I can just go into a man's restroom like this. I can hang out with the boys like this. Honey. Stop playing in my face. We have a different experience than women, and that should be acknowledged. That's why it's so important that we differentiate between transgender women are transgender women and biological women are women. Because it is a different experience. It's a different experience. However, we also need to acknowledge the fact that we have somewhat of similar experiences and similar situations, actually same situations, because of the fact, and it goes back to the men. It's very interesting because years ago, I was that girl. I was that girl that I was in a box when it came to my concept of what type of guys that I would allow myself to date and the type of guys that were into transgender women. And I told myself over and over, oh, well, I only want to be with guys that are into transgender women and women. And as time went on, I believed it. That is, until I had a couple of experiences and I was an eye-opener. My ex-friend, Nashawn, who would get in and out of drag, but mostly out of drag, because he's a gay man. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Him basically having the same boy that I just had, or having a guy that basically coming to see him while this guy is telling me that he only dates transgender women, and he's over here seeing a whole gay man. And it's mind-boggling because of the fact that, it was an eye-opener because I was so into my own, delusion and thinking that these men are, there are certain ways. And the truth of the matter is that they're a certain way because we kind of make them. And until we realize that we share a lot of the similarities, we will forever be at battle. I digress. We have a problem. We have a serious problem. Virtually everything that comes out of Hollywood is demented, it's evil, and it's part of the brainwashing. It's part of the brainwashing to feminize our men with this hyper-feminization. That's why I'm all about toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is what's going to save our society. Because China is trying to feminize our men, make them weak with all this putting on a dress and being feminine. And meanwhile, their men are getting more manlier. This is more about bringing back manly men. This is about embracing toxic masculinity at its best. We need our men to be as masculine and as big than my unwaxed eyebrows.